G'day, my name is Cam Bostock, and on this week's episode of the Life Outside podcast, I chat with Brittney Bourne. Brittany has spent the last 5 years discovering her love for long-distance hiking and the outdoors, from day hikes close to home to spending 5 months walking across the United States on the Pacific Crest Trail. Juggling relationships, a master's degree, and a successful career, Brittany has prioritized spending time on trail as much as possible. She shares how hiking, particularly solo hiking, has helped her grow in self-confidence, manage burnout, and find balance, all whilst experiencing some of the most beautiful places on earth. Make sure to follow the show wherever you are listening and leave us a 5-star rating. We hope you enjoy. G'day, Brittany. Welcome to the podcast. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me. Good to be here.
Yeah, it's great to see you again. We were just talking about how we met briefly on the Pacific Crest Trail last year in 2024. I actually messaged you a bit earlier today, wondering how we didn't cross paths, and you quickly reminded me that we did cross paths. For it wouldn't have been more than like 10 minutes, I reckon.
It was pretty brief.
But yeah, like Northern Oregon, Timberline Lodge on Mount Hood. We were leaving, you were around, and we got a selfie together and that kind of stuff, which was really cool. So really great to see you again, and excited to chat all things hiking with you today.
Yeah, it was awesome. So glad we actually got to cross paths. I didn't think we were going to because you actually started ahead of me. And due to some bushfires that kind of disrupted most people's trail last year, we actually got to cross paths. And no better place than at the Timberline where we all had a really good buffet. So, yeah, good memories.
Yeah. The reason I probably forgot about that interaction until you reminded me was because that was the day after we did the 24-hour challenge, and so I
Yeah.
was like pretty much completely cooked. Like we had some time at Timberline, which was great. We ate and rested, but I remember just being so sore and like tired still from that big send. And
Yeah.
then yeah, we were off into the rain for a couple of days, which was good fun. Far out, could reminisce about the PCT all day long. How was the PCT experience for you? I know you've done quite a bit of hiking over the last few years, but the PCT, no doubt, was the biggest, as it is for pretty much anyone who walks it. And you obviously made it to the northern terminus with a few fires in your way, but you got there, and I'm sure it was a pretty magical feeling reaching the end. It was for me, that's for sure.
I don't even know how to put into words my time on the PCT. Like, I just look back and sometimes I even struggle to like convey the feelings that come up when I think about it. And it's
Yeah,
funny, all you can think about when you're on trail is like heading north and like this end goal. And you just think, gosh, there's so many kilometers ahead of you. And at the very start, I remember feeling so overwhelmed with this insurmountable goal of how far I've actually got to walk. And as cheesy as it sounds, like it wasn't really ever about the destination, which I initially thought it was, which was reaching Canada, but it was the journey. And like, it's like the most cheesiest thing. But yeah, the whole time on the PCT, it just makes me feel like this alive, like nearly emotional feeling, if that makes sense. And I know
yeah,
we were just speaking before, like, unless someone has experienced and shared this time, like out in nature, just so stripped back of the real world and your responsibilities and the day to day hustle, I just don't think you can ever truly relate. And so I think that's when you cross paths with people on trail, whether you're hiking with them or hiking past them, or you meet an alumni, like a past hiker, and you just have this connection. Like, doesn't matter
yeah,
age, where you're from, it's just a connection that you feel so deeply. So for me, like my time was just the best. Like so hard, so rewarding,
hmm
so much growth, and just honestly, when we got there, we passed. Where were we? She was a triple crowner, and it was at Kennedy Meadows South, and we were getting some gear right before the Sierra. I can't remember her name; it'll come to me. Something Bear, Yogi Bear, and she said to us, like, there won't be a day that goes by after trail that you don't think about the PCT. And I was like, yeah, sure, like, sure, sure, sure. And it's been over a year for me now. I had my anniversary on the 24th of October. And in some small way, it comes up. And I can't even explain how. It just does. And you probably feel
Yeah.
the same
Every day,
every
every
day.
single day, there's some little snippet or memory
Yeah,
that comes back. And yeah, I've just had my 1 year anniversary about a month ago as well.
yeah,
And like, the months before that, I would get the 1 year memories of certain things on trail, whether it was like a Strava memory
yeah,
or a Facebook memory or something that I posted that was a year ago. And so like that was always a constant reminder. But it's just such an impactful experience spending that much time on trail. And like you said, it's really hard in the best way possible because you grow so much and you learn so much about yourself. And there's no way it's just gonna like leave our memory or our thought process. I think it's probably going to last for a very, very long time, which I'm all for because one of my favorite things in the world is thinking back to my time on trail and talking to people who've also been out there. The saying "you had to be there" is like
yeah.
never more true than with
No,
through hiking, and which is why I'm so passionate about trying to get people outside and trying to get people onto long trails to experience that because you just cannot experience that in any other facet of life, and certainly not sitting behind a desk in a
yeah,
concrete box in a city for the
yeah,
majority of your life. And so, it requires sacrifices, of course, being away for that long and, leaving a job and family and all that kind of stuff. But it is the most worthwhile thing in the world.
yeah.
How's the last year been for you since you finished the trail? Like, did you experience the post trail blues, and what's that process been like reintegrating into regular life? Because it's always a bit of an interesting challenge.
Definitely. So, and it's so funny because we were warned about this, like when you go to Campo and you're there and you've got like everyone talking about, what to look for, looking after each other on trail, but then also that crossing over to off trail, whether that means you have to leave the trail early for injury or commitments, or you do finish the trail and then you eventually you go your different ways because you meet so many people along the way and they become your family, and then all of a sudden it's over, and it feels like all of a sudden, even though it's months and months in reality. But then you have to go back home eventually. Like we can't just be Peter Pan forever. and I and they warned us like look out for the signs of post trail blues, and I'd never heard that before because the PCT was my longest hike to date. And I thought, like we'll see if it really happens. And I would say I'm pretty in tune with my mental health just because in the type of work I do, being in healthcare, burnout is a real thing. And I've experienced burnout a couple of times in my career. So I thought I was pretty clued into to looking for things afterwards. And I actually, in preparation for that, when you talk about it being a huge commitment and sacrifice, I did quit my job before I went on trail. As soon as I got my permit approved and my start date, I made all the really big
Nice.
decisions to quit a job that I love. It was a dream clinic that I always wanted to work for. And I had just finished my master's. And I kind of thought to myself, I have everything right now. I've got the job, I've got my big piece of paper, life's good. I was in a relationship at the time. I was like, I've actually got everything. I don't really need to do anything. But that, as you know, as a hiker, there's something inside you that is like, it's like the mountains are calling, I must go. And
It's
you
magnetic, it just
so
pulls you.
it's just like you can't deny it. So I made that, decision, and it was a hard decision to leave that job that I was in and have no return date. Like I told them, I don't even know when I'm back. I've got no idea. I booked a one-way ticket to the US. And, when I came back, I was changing where I was living. I was living in Sydney. I moved down south. So I already had some life changes already coming up after the trail, but I allowed myself some breathing space to not jump straight back into work, which I thought would give myself time to process and reintegrate, like you said, because that's a huge thing going from just being literally in nature, having no alarm. Your day isn't structured by
There's
to-do
no
lists,
calendar.
calendars, reminders, notifications, appointments, all these responsibilities that come with, real life, and especially a job that you're governed by time. Like I'm patient after patient. My day is my ruler essentially, and I've got to abide by those time limits and do everything I need to in a day. And to have no responsibility besides where am I going to sleep tonight? How much food do I have? Do I want to sleep here or do I want to keep walking another, 5 mile? It's just you can't even imagine what that yo-yo is like. So, and it's so funny because I remember when I got off trail, I wanted to go celebrate. I went to a beautiful Airbnb and I remember we were driving there and we crossed this is so ridiculous. Like we crossed this little stream with the car and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is such a good water source. We should stop here." And I was like, "I don't need to stop and filter water anymore. I have like access to water."
That's
And
so
then
funny you say that because, like, I feel like I do that every time I see a stream, even if it's in like the
yeah,
city and there's like a little creek going past. I'm like, that's a
yeah.
solid water source, right?
I'm
Like,
like, "Guys, are we appreciating the flow rate here and how
yeah,
clear this is?" Like, this is
that's so
clarity
funny.
water, like, this is pretty ace. And then it was funny, like, I'd be walking my dog and I'm like, "This is pretty clear. I could probably do it like a pee here. Like, this is, like, nice and private." Like, you just I couldn't believe how quickly I adapted to through hiking. Like, you just do. And then you go back to being your, like, city life person, and you're like, I don't actually need anything to survive. All this extra stuff is just stuff. So
Yeah,
the first few weeks were very interesting for me. I felt definitely very restless. I was straight back into responsibilities and, mortgages and when am I getting back to work and, fitting in friends you hadn't seen in 6 months and, weddings coming up and all of these responsibilities that just thrust you back into the busy life that is our day to day, at our age. And I remember when my friends would ask when I was back, they're like, "Well, so how was it?" And I was like, "Yeah, really good." But again, I didn't feel like I could even explain in enough words what it meant. And I don't
yeah,
actually think I'd processed it by then, to be honest, either. Like, I think given myself like the 12 months that I've had post trail, I'd probably say it's really hit home and I've processed it more. And that's actually what brought me to going back on trail just for a short one in Australia not long ago, because I just felt like I need to get away again.
yeah,
Um, yeah. So I'll be honest, it's been rough. And, like I still speak to a lot of people that were in my trail family that, I spent a lot of time with and we voice message and we call and like we look out for each other. And I think one of the biggest things Yogi Bear said in terms of managing postnatal not postnatal I'm thinking about work now post trail blues is you need to talk to your hiking friends. Like you need
yeah.
to stay in contact with them because they get it.
They get it.
Like, they get
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I was the same when I got home. Everyone's happy for you, and they probably followed the journey if you shared stuff online and stuff like that. But it's almost like everyone else moves on from what you did in about 5 seconds. But
I'm like,
for
"But I'm
us, it's
I'm not
like,
done talking about it yet. Like,
yeah,
I've got so much more to say. How much
I
time
haven't
do you have?"
processed this. I haven't shared what I want to share. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And so it's like this. It's almost like a bit of a lonely journey if you don't have many other people in your vicinity, like in person, that can
yeah,
sort of relate to you. And yeah, it's a journey. I feel like I'm still on it. It's been a year. I think I'm sort of over that hump of the blues, the post trail blues, but still trying to process the whole experience.
yeah,
What is it for you that draws you out onto trail? You mentioned you had this dream job before you started the PCT that was
yeah,
a sacrifice to leave.
yeah.
Obviously, the simplicity of trail life and the adventure and the challenges is incredible. But what pulls you out?
Yeah, that's such a good question because, like, really up until, like, I literally like, everything was tracking exactly how I thought it was gonna be. I landed
Yeah,
the job I wanted to have, my dream clinic, amazing team. Like, I really couldn't get any higher. I'd done my master's, like, that was done. I was tracking forward to probably, getting engaged and probably getting married and, like, all of that was just tracking. And consciously, I still wanted to just say, you know what, like, because I was 29 at the time, I'm 30 now, and I kind of it was kind of like I thought to myself, because I've done hikes before, like I've gone away by myself and I've done it, but I guess what initially drew me into hiking, and it's kind of a journey, I guess, to answer your question, but what actually drew me into hiking was the very first like overnight hike or multi-day hike or through hike, whatever you want to kind of call it, was actually when I was doing my undergrad. And a girl I met at university who's a really dear friend of mine, she said to me that she was going to go and hike Everest Base Camp. And I remember listening to her and thinking, that is just so cool. Like, that is just the coolest thing I have ever heard. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, Rachel, that sounds amazing." And she said, "You should come." And I was like, "Yeah, I wanna come." And so literally, like, I had never even gone on an overnight hiking trip before.
Wow.
Like, probably camping with, like, school. My family wasn't even that into camping, so really all of this has been, like, my own thing. But at the time, I actually felt quite lonely. And honestly, I think if I look back, I really wanted to connect with somebody that had this passion and this excitement for adventure. And in a way, I was like, I want to be a part of that. Really want to join you. So I said, yeah, I'm going to go to Nepal with you. Let's do this. And so literally, we booked that trip, and that was back in, I want to say like 2016, 2017. And that was again my first experience of high altitude, like the highest
Yeah.
I've ever been. It was like, I think Kalapatar was what, 5,000
Five,
meters,
six. Yeah.
6,
Yeah.
yeah. And like that was my introduction straight off the bat. And I remember thinking at the time, and it's so funny, I was like, this is really hard. And I wasn't even hiking like we had Sherpas. They were
Yeah.
doing the real work because now we know
To
as
be
a
fair, altitude is hard.
altitude is hard. You're right. I'll give myself that. But I was like, this is hard. And I
Yeah.
remember having like really hard days. Like both Rach and I, like there were days where she was having a hard day and I'd pick her up, and I was having a hard day and she'd pick me up. And there's something about bonding a friendship through shared like pain.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
You're in your most vulnerable state. There's no mask, there's no facade, and you're just stripped of everything. Like you're hungry, you're sore, you're tired, you know, you're just like exhausted, and it's physically hard and mentally hard. And I remember like there was this one afternoon I was like, this is like hard. Like I'm kind of like not enjoying this. And then I remember, like, at the very end, like, we were coming back into wherever we finished, I don't know, Lukla, wherever, and I remember thinking to myself, "Yeah, I'll do this again." So I
Hmm.
think, like, that was my very first experience right off the bat, the highest altitude I've gone to date, and back then, it was actually about really seeking connection and friendship, and I love her, like, she's one of my nearest friends, bridesmaid at her wedding, just and it's amazing how that shared experience of love of outdoors or doing something that's maybe not the norm, of people our age, like at uni who were going out
Yeah.
and drinking. Like I never really did that or enjoyed that. Instead, I wanted to go hike a mountain, like with my friend, and we've just grown so close. And for me, that's where it started. And then after that, I was living in regional Victoria, and it was during COVID, and it was a really hard time. And at the time, I met this amazing guy, and we went on all these awesome hikes. And he kind of showed me, like, like a bit of like hiking here and hiking there. And like that was really enjoyable. Nothing to the extent that I'd done. And when our relationship ended, I kind of felt like there goes like my drive for adventure, it's gone. And then I initially kind of thought to myself, I can't wait for somebody to invite me somewhere or to motivate me. Like it had to come from within. And I remember again, like it was probably a feeling of like feeling a bit lonely. Like I've moved a lot for work over the years, and something that will never like something that will never leave you, lonely is being in nature. And
So
it doesn't
true.
matter if you do it with a whole group of friends or if you do it by yourself, you still get to enjoy the beauty of the birds or the sunset. Like you still get that beautiful, wholesome feeling. And for me, it started out thinking to myself, okay, well, this person isn't here anymore, but I can still enjoy this myself. So I remember when I was living down south, there's this really cool day hike to Gerringong Falls. And it's a bit technical. You've got to kind of like really research how to get there and get down and follow the pink ribbons. And I picked the hottest day, of course, of the year in December to go down. Didn't take enough water, like typical, like, I'll be all right.
Yeah.
And anyway, so I did the hike. I found everything, had the best time, swam under this beautiful waterfall. And then I hiked back up, and, that was my day. And I remember just thinking, this was such a fun day. And it was just with me and nature. And it was just the best. Like, it couldn't have been any better, like, and of course I met people hiking as well, and that was really fun. But I actually really enjoyed just doing it by myself, to be honest.
Awesome.
Yeah, and so that's kind of where it started, and then after that, I was like, "Well, what else can I do?" So then I just Google, I'm like, "Well, what else can I do?" And then the very first overnight hike solo I ever did was the Great Ocean Road. So you can hike that.
Yeah.
So I did that, and I remember just Googling, "Okay, well, I'll just do it." And I had never had any experience. I've never even slept overnight in a tent by myself. And I thought, "Well, what better way than a 130K walk? I'll just start it like that." And so I did. I got my tent, I got my gear, and I just did it.
What was the process for you of like finding out what gear to get and stuff for your first camping hiking trip?
Look, it's evolved. And it's so funny because if I get to PCT gear, I'll tell you what I literally did. I just watched your video. Like, we've got the same sleeping quilt, shout out to Neve Gear, and,
Hell yeah.
I went onto one of the forums, for the PCT Kiwis and Aussies, and I was like, "Sun hoodies are in, I'll get a sun hoodie, I'll get my cooler cloth, like, I'll get my topos," like, honestly, it was kind of copying what people were kind of already doing, and then, like, seeing what kind of worked for me. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it
That's
was
just how it is. I remember my first overnight hike, my gear was shocking. But
yeah,
it's just one of those things, you learn what works for you and what doesn't over time. How did
100%.
the how did the Great Ocean, walk go for you?
Yeah,
100 odd
so
K, your first solo
yeah.
multi-day hiking experience?
Literally so amazing. So first of all, I message my friend and I say to her, "Hey, I'm coming to a hike," because I was living in Sydney at the time. Are you around?" And she's like, "Yeah." So she did my airport pickup and she dropped me off. And yeah, it was amazing. I had my tent that I still use today, my little two-person tent. I've got a Durston now as well, but I had my two-person tent, and I borrowed a backpack actually from Rachel's husband, my friend that I went to Nepal with. So I borrowed her husband's backpack because I didn't have one big enough for all my gear. And I just really just winged it. Like, and
I
it
love
was,
it.
again, it was the best experience. Like, honestly, I didn't have enough battery pack power, had to go to a caravan park and, be kind of like, "Hey, anyone have a battery pack?" And all the lovely caravan people let me use their generator. So I just find on trail, you just literally find a way. And that saying literally came up on the PCT, the trail provides, because it honestly does. I have never found myself in a situation, luckily, touch wood, that it's just not worked out. And I've been in some pretty sketchy situations, but it went amazing. Like, I remember thinking the first night I thought I was going to be scared. And like, I was, but I also wasn't. There was just something actually really reassuring about being out there. I just kind of felt like it was just me and the stars, and
The
it
snakes.
the snakes. Yeah, I saw lots of snakes. It was hot again when I went. It was January, and I definitely saw a lot of snakes. But yeah, the snakes were kind to me though. They weren't too bad. But yeah, it was amazing. Like, I remember, and I look back on like the videos I took and some of the camping spots. Like, how lucky to have this in our backyard. Just, like, we're just so lucky. And the best way is on foot most of the time to access these really beautiful
It's
remote
the only
areas.
way. Yeah, it's the only way a
Yeah,
lot of the time.
like,
Yeah.
so lucky. And, like, there are a few times where I would literally have the whole campsite to myself, And I thought, this is like strangely calming. Like I really wasn't nervous or scared. And I think as a solo female, you're really led to believe, and as you should be vigilant, and you should be, listen to your intuition, and you should be careful. But I also don't think it should be a deterrent either. Like I really feel like as long as you take the appropriate measures and you're sensible, it shouldn't be a deterrent to do these types of things, because it's just the risk reward is, it's so, in the other favor.
Yeah.
So I had the best time, and again, I think it just kind of kept building this self-trust I had in myself to back myself and to allow myself to enjoy these experiences without thinking I need someone else to do it with me, because you don't. Of course, things are nice shared, and I love my time with my friends hiking, and the PCT was a lot of people, as you know, and that does make the trail, because it's so long. But like this was, I think it was maybe 6 nights I did right off the bat, and it was amazing. Like I remember thinking, I want to do more of this, and then that led me doing Cape to Cape on your side on the west coast.
Beautiful trail.
Yeah, lots of sand.
Yeah. Lots of sand. You're walking on beautiful beaches, but you are walking on soft sand.
Oh my
Was that
gosh.
solo as well?
That was solo as well, yeah. So
Okay.
again, because I was like, well, what's like the next big one I can do? So that was slightly longer. I can't remember how long Cape to Cape is. It's slightly longer though.
It's about 130,
Yeah.
135.
Yeah, I think Great Ocean Road was like maybe 100 or something. So I was like, well, what's the next one? And because I actually did my master's in Western Australia, and this is how lame or not lame I am. My annual leave, I already had to use to go over to do my face to face blocks for my study. And I thought, well, I'll just go a week early and do some hiking. So here I am with my laptop for uni doing my modules, and I got my tent in my bag. And I'm like, yeah, like I'm just gonna go hike and then do a week's worth of like face to face like modules. That's how I want to spend my time. And again, not everybody wants to spend their time like that. So I was really happy to do it myself, because I didn't have to wait for anyone to have their annual leave line up with mine. I could control when and where I did it. And yeah, and Cape to Cape was also hilarious. It was just
What
somehow
was
I was cold.
hilarious? Right.
My sleeping bag, again, my gear hadn't evolved just then. My sleeping bag was rated probably to like 7 degrees, because it was like
Right.
a really lightweight one. And somehow in February or March, I was cold. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, it can get deceptively cold overnight.
Yeah, yeah, especially on that coastline. But yeah, and so I finished Cape to Cape. And then again, I'm still studying. And then I don't even know how this came about. I must have been taking a break from study, and I was in like a YouTube spiral. Don't ask me how I got here. And I
We've
came
all been there.
across, yeah, we've all been there. And this YouTube video came up, and it was by Alina Osborne. And it was her PCT recap video. And I don't even know how, because I'd never heard of it really before then. I just watched the video on her YouTube channel, and I had this feeling, and I can't explain it. I had this feeling because the way she edits was so beautiful. It's such a
She's
like,
incredible, yeah.
oh my gosh, I've watched that video like a few times now. And I was like, I want to do that. Like that's the next thing I've got to do it. It's the next thing I've got to do. Because I thought, okay, well, I've done Cape to Cape. That was a bit longer. And so now what do I do? And so again, like I just thought, I've got to do it. And I think because like I was at where I wanted to be in my career, because I feel like if you want a career, you're kind of taught, do well in high school, then do well at university, then do well in your job and keep climbing. But you can get stuck in that rat race forever. And you can
Yeah, and
keep,
so many people do.
yeah. And I kind of thought, before I, have more commitments, have a family, and I don't have this amazing freedom and privilege that I do right now, I kind of said to myself, okay, go and do the PCT and then get it out of your system, and then you can come back, and then it's time to settle down. That's what I
I,
told myself.
yeah,
That was
I love that you finished a 130 kilometer hike and you're like, Yeah, next will be a
Yeah,
4,300 kilometer hike. That's the beautiful thing about outdoors and
yeah,
specifically spending time outdoors alone is it builds this sort of like almost delusional like self-confidence and belief in
100%.
yourself,
Yeah.
which is I think it's a healthy thing. I mean, so many people go through life very comfortable without
Yeah,
challenging themselves. And if you can put yourself into a situation that has potential consequences and you get through it successfully and you overcome things and you do it yourself, no one helped you, no one, dragged you along or carried you to the end of the track. You did it yourself. You're like, holy crap, I can do things that are really hard. And then you
yeah,
see a trail like the PCT, you watch a video, and all of a sudden you're like, holy crap, like I actually think I can do that. And
yeah,
you would never have probably thought that if you didn't do the Great Ocean Road and
yeah,
then the Cape to Cape track and built sort of this confidence.
yeah.
And that would have never that sort of domino wouldn't have started falling either if you didn't sort of take that first step as well. And that's the hardest thing. It is very nerve wracking going outside and sleeping on trail especially alone. And
Yeah,
I'm a guy. I know that
yeah.
females have extra different challenges as well, and I don't blame people that don't want to just go like out on a multi-day hike for the first time, which is why it's a good idea to build up slowly, go with people, do some day hikes and that kind of stuff. And but once you sort of start that domino and you keep successfully completing these trails or these challenges, you sort of just like become super confident and like ready to sort of tackle anything. And that's such a powerful place to be in life.
100%. And it's funny that you say, like, going from 130 to like 4,000. In my mind, I just thought, yeah, like
Yeah.
it's fine.
Yeah.
And I really do think, I think a lot of hikers have this because we're all a bit crazy. Like we're all a little bit crazy. But it's fine because you'll just do it. Like you'll work it out because it just starts with the first step.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And
Hmm.
I also sometimes wonder if it's like not this naivety, but I think it's like this thirst for like more, if that makes
Mm.
sense. It's like this yearning, like just
Yeah.
it's like insatiable nearly, like, you just have this yearning, I guess, for yeah, like, what else can I see? What else can I do? And I think as well, like, knowing that there's just so much of the world to see and kind of doing it at that pace and on foot, there's something super magical about that because kind of what you said before, like, no one dragged you through it, like, you earned it. There's something
Hmm.
summiting a mountain and seeing that view versus driving there in like a car,
Yeah.
it just hits differently.
It
And
hits different. It hit different. I always say the best way to see a country is to walk across it.
yeah, yeah,
And
right?
obviously it takes a lot longer, but
Yeah,
you get to experience all of the little things
yeah,
in all the different environments, and you get to meet people along the journey, and you
yeah,
get to do it on your own two legs. There's just something super
yeah,
fulfilling about that. Um,
100%. And
yeah.
I think as well, when you say it builds this inner trust in you, that
Mm,
I think actually was a kind of maybe not even what I consciously thought that I needed at the time because I was going through so many life changes. I think as well, I guess some people can relate to this when you have like a job where you really have to perform and you have to be on all the time and you're dealing with, surgeons and specialists and you need to have this confidence that sometimes you actually don't feel like you have. And something that I recently, not recently, but I think over the years in my career have had to overcome is this feeling of like imposter syndrome and feeling like maybe I'm not good enough to be where I am or to do what I'm doing. And I think as well, sometimes those small wins that you do that no one else can help you with. No one else can carry your gear. No one else can plan your route. No one else can physically move your body and rest your body and think of all the things you need to keep yourself safe on trail. No one else can do that. And I think sometimes I wonder like have I gotten where I am because of luck and not because I've actually worked hard? And I think when you do something like hiking or any endurance sport, anything that you literally have to do solo, it's proof to yourself that, yeah, like you earned this. Like
yeah.
You earned it, you worked for it, and you should feel proud of yourself. And so I think a healing part of through hiking, whether I knew it or not at the time, when I was seeking out like a bigger trail and a bigger adventure, and okay, go and have your adventure, then you've got to come back and be sensible. It just kept building this trust in myself that like I've got this. I can back myself and I can be my own adventure buddy with where I want to go, because I've got me and
Hmm.
I'll never leave me, and I can enjoy this
Yeah.
independently and also have it shared. Like that's just a bonus, right?
Hmm.
So, yeah, I think it was building that confidence that maybe in the outside world, when you think, oh, like, have I just gotten this promotion because I know so and so? Or was it just luck? Whereas out there, it's so stripped back,
Yeah.
you can't fake it. Even if
Yeah.
you can't, you just cannot fake it.
So the beauty of nature is that, like, the only way to get out of a dodgy situation or a challenging spot is to literally just to walk. It's
Yeah.
like you've got to do it. You can't
Yeah.
fake it, like you said. And that
Yeah.
is something that I think is the biggest confidence builder, and why I love going out into nature is because it's going to challenge you. There's no doubt about that. Whether it's altitude or a mountain or weather or an injury or
Mm,
whatever it is, and once those challenges come, you just have to face them head on, and you
yeah.
just have to get out. And it's really cool. I love that aspect, and it's why I'm starting to seek more challenging adventures rather than
Mm,
just sort of like enjoyable ones these days. Like I just went and did this stupid FKT,
yeah.
and part of the reason was is like I know it's just going to be me versus me on the trail,
Yeah.
and to complete my goal, it's going to suck, and the
Yeah.
only person who can get through that suck is me, and like I just really craved that, and like I
Yeah.
wanted it, and then finishing it was the most.
Yeah.
I was so happy and proud of what I did, and
Yeah.
nature's really unique in that way that there's like no easy way out. It's really cool. This episode of the Life Outside podcast is proudly brought to you by OptiVenture, the world's first all-in-one supplement specifically designed for outdoor adventurers. It's been my favorite health, performance, and recovery tool for the last couple of years, both in training and while on trail. It's super simple. Just take 3 sunrise capsules each morning for sustained energy and to help optimize gut health, immunity, and mental clarity. And then take 3 sunset capsules at night to help sleep more deeply, recover more efficiently, and keep inflammation low. I've used it on long trails like the Pacific Crest, as well as on my Bibbleman track, fastest known time completion. And I also just use it in my daily life as it replaces more than 10 individual supplements. It's simple, comprehensive, and built for my adventurous lifestyle. If you want the easiest, most effective way to stay healthy, perform well, and recover faster both on and off the trail, I can't recommend it enough. Head to optiventure.co and use Life Outside for 10% off your order. All right, let's get back into today's episode. So you went over to the PCT solo. Did you go
So,
by yourself?
yeah.
Okay, so like same as me,
Yeah.
across the entire world, literally
Yeah.
almost as far as you can go.
Yeah.
I started solo with, yeah, I was sort of intending to walk alone for the whole thing. I was open to meeting people and walking with people, but I kind of planned like I'm going to walk by myself, and this is going to be like the coolest thing I ever do, and it's going to be wicked. And by day 2, I was walking with the trail family. How did that whole process sort of go for you? You obviously went over there solo. Were you like, I'm gonna walk this solo like I did the Great Ocean Walk, the
Yeah.
Cape to Cape, or were you like, I want to find people and walk with them?
Yeah, that's such a good question. Like, so I went over, like I said, I got my permit, which was like the most exciting thing because I was in the second round. I only got my permit. I think I found out it was the Australia Day long weekend, and I was camping with some friends, and I
Wow,
mentioned to them like, "Hey guys, I think I might do this hike. It's a bit long, but I have to see if I get my permit.
that's a bit long.
It's a bit long. Like I might be away for a while." And I told my partner at the time, and he was like, "Oh, so do you think you'll go?" And I was like, "Yeah, if I get the permit, I'm definitely gonna go." And,
Yeah.
I remember I got back into reception and I got my PCT email, and I just thought, "Oh my god, like, this is real." Like,
What
now
was your start date?
my start with 24th of May, so I was late. Like,
Very
it's
late, almost the end.
almost the end. I mean, I tried to even go and see Frout and Skoda, was it Scout and Frodo? They were closed. They had already
Right.
packed up.
I went through the first round of permits, which was October, I believe, or
It was
November.
in November or something. It
And I'm
was
pretty sure I got the 24th of May on that first round. It was the
really,
24th or 26th or something. And I
yeah,
was like, that is so late.
it
So
was
in
so late
January, I went into the second round
and changed it.
and I got much luckier with my sort of place in the line and I was able to get April 30th. So I guess I started about a month before you.
Yeah, and it's so funny because I remember my Instagram algorithm, it must have been like something has happened. I was watching your videos from the TA, and I remember thinking,
Right.
"Yeah, I'll have to do the TA next as well." And
Yeah.
I told my friends again, I was thinking of doing the PCT, and it all depended on getting my permit. And then they saw that you had just announced you were doing the PCT. And I thought, well, now I have to follow you because now I get to see like how you're gonna do it. And I'm so
Mm.
excited because I knew no one going over there. I knew nobody.
There wasn't many Aussies.
There
Yeah.
weren't. There really weren't many Aussies. And I remember thinking, where am I gonna get my information from? So
Yeah.
I was like, great, an Australian guy that likes hiking, that knows what he's doing. This is excellent. So, and I think I actually messaged you and I was like, hey, I'm doing the hike too. So
Yeah.
it was just like I just wanted to be like, because it's funny, I actually had this weird sense of homesickness, which I'd never felt before when I'd been away previously. And any Australian I passed, I was like, oh, this was amazing because I was just
Yeah.
it was all Americans for me in my trail family.
Mm.
But yeah, so I was quite late, and that was actually deliberate because I wanted to give my work as much notice as possible
Right.
so I could hand over my patients because I didn't know when I was coming back. And also to save because like as we know, like it's expensive and the
Yeah.
dollar
It's a
is
long
not
time.
good.
Yeah. It's expensive and also like the opportunity cost of not making money is also
Yeah,
extremely
100%.
expensive. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so I started May 24th and I went over all by myself. Like I said, I didn't know anybody going over there. I made a post in the PCT Aussies and Kiwis, and there were a few Aussies, but they were all starting before me. And I was like, am I going to catch up to them? Am I going to see them? But again, to be honest, because I had done all of my multi day hikes solo before, that's actually all I knew. And of
Yeah.
course, you meet people when you're away, and I had great, great conversations with people I would pass. And I loved that. I actually all I knew was doing it by myself. That was just my hiking style. That's just all I knew. So when I went over there, I definitely had the intention of doing it myself because in my thinking, that's kind of funny. It's like you have to work hard and you have to earn this and it's going to be hard, but it'll be so worth it. But you've got to do it by yourself. That was the thinking I had going into it,
Right.
to be honest.
Yeah.
Like you should do this by yourself. And I don't really know why I thought that, but I kind of thought to do it, like, I should do it solo. So, I had no intention of, like, meeting people necessarily. I wasn't not open to it, but, yeah, I didn't make any plans to, like, meet up with anybody. So, it was funny because I left Campo and I touched the border, I went to the terminus, I had my photo, and this is so funny. I met a couple at the terminus, and their grandfather took a photo of me because I was by myself and I was like with my phone trying to get like a good like, starting photo and starting video. And the couple that was starting, their family was there, seeing them off. And the grandfather, his name was GP, he said, "Oh, let me take a photo for you." And I said, "Oh, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. I'm from Australia. I'm here by myself and just want to get like a nice start photo to send back home." Anyway, it turns out the couple that I met them at mile 0 on day 1, and the girl, Renvi, in, that couple, we actually finished together. So we
Wow.
started on the very first day at, like, this, like, half an hour apart because I
That's
was
wild.
really it was the most surreal experience because we saw each other grow and through every hardship you could imagine, like, from day dot. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, she's like my soulmate, I can't explain.
Yeah.
She's my Dan, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say the same thing happened with Dan and I. Like, I met him at
Yeah.
Scout and Photos before we
Yeah.
even started the
Yeah.
trail, and it was kinda like what you were saying before. You were just looking for an Aussie to have someone to relate to. Like, as soon as I met Dan, I was like, "Oh, he's Aussie." Like,
Yeah.
straight away, we had that sort of
In
connection. It
common.
was like the only Aussie that I met there, and
Yeah.
so instantly, we started hiking together.
Yeah.
And like you said, spending that much time with anyone, you're going to grow close, and then going through some of the hardest things you will
Yeah.
with that person, you're going to go insanely close. And
Yeah.
so we had the same thing with our trail family on trail, and still super close with the whole crew, even to this day, because you just kind of like, yeah, you bond over the,
Bonded for
the
life.
tough days, and you bond
Yeah.
over the good days, and it's
Yeah.
yeah, I'm very happy that I did not walk the PCT alone, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm a massive introvert, so like it was a weird thing. I'm not a big social person, and I was very happy to avoid most people on trail, but I was also really happy to have my little group that we
Yeah.
could sort of do life on trail together, and
Yeah.
it was super cool. Did you
Yeah.
have a bigger trail family at parts throughout the journey, or was it just you two?
No, so we did. So Renby, her and her partner, Devon, so they were from Boise in America. And so I met them at the terminus. And then later on that day, I caught up to them and they were stopping at mile whatever. And I thought, oh, I'll stop too. Because like the other thing is there were not that many girls hiking at the time I was hiking, and probably what Emma experienced as well. Like it's a lot of guys by the
Mm,
time my bubble went through. I think all the girls were much earlier. So we bonded over being, really the only girls that I kind of came across, and we were a similar age, and we just connected just straight away. So eventually I think there was maybe like 6 or 8 of us initially, and that was our trail family, and we
yeah.
hiked a good while. And then of course, as most people break up toward, I think like the Sierra, like that's when a few people kind of change route, or they push ahead, because again we were quite late. So then we met another trail family, a Renby and I, in the Sierra with this big fun group of guys, and they were just the silliest, goofiest guys. And we had so much fun. It just, yeah, I can't, like, I don't think I've ever laughed so much in my life than being on trail, and just like just laughing at the craziness of what you're experiencing. Like it's so
The
hard
Sierra was pretty wild. Sometimes you just kinda had to laugh, didn't you? Like,
because if you're not
climbing over
laughing,
these
sorry.
icy passes, or experiencing altitude sickness, seeing black bears, like,
Yeah,
especially as an Aussie, it's like stuff we don't typically experience in everyday life.
100%.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah, I remember Pincho Pass just knocked me for 6. I was like, "This
Mm.
is not my favorite pass. This pass sucks." And, I remember actually I got my trail name the day I met these group of guys. They actually gave me my trail name because I was having a really hard day that morning. I woke up late, so I packed up late, got on trail late, and you know when you feel like you're just behind in the day?
Yeah.
We've got so much mileage to do in the Sierra to get up and over, like, 2 passes a day. And I remember I actually fell over and I really hurt my knee and I really hurt my ankle. And my bag was so heavy with my bear can, I just fell back and I was like a turtle. I remember just lying there. And because I was feeling a bit off, just mentally a bit flat, I just cried. Blood running down my knee, and I'm just feeling so sorry for myself, lying on the ground with my heavy bag, trying to roll up and stand up. And I remember I was hiking up towards John Muir Pass, with that beautiful hut. And Arenby's up there. She's ahead of me. And I remember I'm just like kind of sobbing to myself, just walking slowly, slowly up. And I can see the hut. And I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm nearly there. Like, yay. And they're all cheering for me because they've met up with these boys we've kind of like, leapfrogged with. And we remember thinking, oh, those boys are so silly. Like they're just
Yeah.
so slow and so silly. We're gonna beat them. Anyway, so we keep leapfrogging with these guys. We'd met them before. And she'd caught up to them. So they're all just having their little lunch break. And I'm just having a crap day, just sad, really feeling sorry for myself. And I got up there and they're like, Britt, good job, amazing. And I just cried. I was like, and all the boys were there, and I was like, "You guys have no idea what it's like. It's really hard. I'm on my period, and you'll never understand." And I was really just having such a grumpy moment. And then I had like my tantrum, and then I felt better. And they were so good. They were like giving us hugs, and like he was like, "Quick, give us some food. Give us like like Sour Patch Kids." And
What do we do?
what do we do? And it was just the cutest thing. Like they really took care of us.
So, what was the trail name?
So my trail name was Breakdown Barbie. So,
Breakdown Bobby.
also because my trail colors were pink and purple, so yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So I really earned
Did
my
you go
trail
by
name.
Barbie or
Sorry?
did you go by Barbie?
For sure, but because of the Americans, I was only with the Americans, I was like, "Barbie?" Because I was
Right.
like, "Barbie," and they're like, "Barbie?" And I was like, "No, Barbie,"
It's a
like, it's
barbecue down
like
under.
barbecue, yeah, so anyway, so that was fun trying to do the translation for them. But yeah, so I really feel like I earned my name that day. It was great. But it was so funny because they really showed me what hiking was all about. I think they really slowed Arenby and I down to enjoy the Sierra. They said to us, "Well, we're going to go to the lake and go fishing and make fish tacos." They packed out like salsa and tortillas and mango chutney, and like one guy
Awesome.
was carrying 2 bear cans for food. 2 bear
Wow.
cans. Like the 500, like the BV 500s.
Wow. That's living.
That's living. And me and Renvi were like, "Yeah, we wanna get on one of these fish tacos." And lo and behold, we joined the trail family. We actually called ourselves the procrastinators, which was really fitting.
That's
That was our
amazing.
yeah, that was our trail family name. And lo and behold, after glissading for 2 hours because they wanted to glissade down the mountain, because of course, then we went to the lake, and Shirley had his little fishing net and his whatever, and he caught some fish, and they made us fish tacos. And
That's incredible.
that was the best day. And then from that day on, I was like, it's gonna be fine. Because again, like you have a hard day and you feel that, and the healthy thing is you feel the feelings.
Mhm.
You can't hide it.
Yeah.
I was having a crap day. I felt really sorry for myself. It was not it. And I had my cry and I felt better. And we all just we built each other up, and we ate some really good fish tacos.
Yeah, not many people can say that they did that on the PCT.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
That's very cool. I mean, that's the reality of it as well. Like, there's gonna be crap days on a long
Yeah,
adventure like this, you know,
yeah,
and you just got to accept it. And I think you're right. You've got to feel the feels and let it
yeah,
out. And luckily, a lot of time in nature, you are alone with no one else around, and you can have a good cry and you can have a good
yeah,
scream, or you can do
yeah.
what you need to do, and
Very therapeutic, very
pick
cathartic.
yourself up,
Yeah,
and keep moving. And it comes back to like, you're having a crap day, so what? I can't
yeah,
just like stop walking. I
yeah.
can't just stay here. I'll probably die. So it's like,
That's
it sucks. I'll accept that, but we're
yeah,
moving forward. We're going to keep
yeah,
walking, and things always turn around. The trail provides. You got bloody
it
fish
does.
tacos that night, so
We And I really do believe, like, everything, like I said, like you said, the trail provided. Anytime I truly needed something, the trail did not let me down, and
yeah.
I'm so it's like the PCT is like this mythical person, and I'm so thankful to that mythical person. They just
Mm,
really looked after me on that trail, like,
yeah.
and again, coming over from Australia, solo female, it I really felt so safe. Like a lot of people, when I said to them what I was doing, they were concerned for me. They were like, "Are you gonna carry a weapon? Like what are you gonna do?" And I said, "I'm gonna enjoy it. I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm not
Yeah.
concerned." Like, yeah,
There are definitely a lot of women listening to this right now who are like, I don't think I could travel to another country by myself and start a journey like this, or maybe it's just a really scary thing for them. What
yeah.
would your advice be to someone listening who's like, I don't even know if I could do one night out bush by myself, but like I really want to try doing what you're talking about. It sounds incredibly fulfilling. What are the steps
Yeah.
that you would say they could take?
So I think definitely like the first steps I did was that I did start slow. So I did do like my day hikes by myself. And those day hikes required like a bit of navigation, like carrying enough supplies, albeit I can be a bit sketch with that. But learning from your mistakes. So if you start small, close to home, like and build up, because like I said before, like you really do start to build your self-trust in what you can do, and also what you feel comfortable with. Like I've learnt my limits, in certain experiences where I was on Mount Whitney and we were in an electrical storm. I learnt my limits pretty quickly then with what I know is safe and not safe. I got lost in Oregon out of all places. I was off the map. I don't know how. And you do have to kind of, and on the Great Ocean Walk, I was in a sea of snakes and grass that had not been maintained. And in a way, the only way to know how you're going to feel is to test it. So I guess start small, maybe start local, and build up those small wins in yourself to
Mm.
back yourself. And the other thing was, everyone said, I can't believe you're doing this by yourself. Every person I said, is your partner going with you? And I said, no, he's not coming with me. And they said, why not? And I was like, A, because he's not actually invited. B, he wouldn't enjoy it. And C, this is for me. This isn't for anybody else but me.
Mhm.
And it's really actually important to me. I'm not doing it for anybody else, nor do I want to have to carry anybody else, to be honest. I'm a lot quicker than he is. So
Right.
yeah, like I think if you have this deep feeling inside yourself, start slow, build up some trust in yourself, put yourself in, maybe different experiences, do your research. There's so you guys like, again, I get a lot of my tips from like your videos, Katie Alice's videos. Like we're so lucky with the free content we have available.
Mm.
Never has this content been more freely accessible on all platforms. We're so lucky. And it works because it works. If everybody has the same tent, it's probably because it's a good tent.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
just, yeah, trust those reviews. And
Yeah.
the other thing is, I was not worried about being alone because I knew I would meet people over there doing the exact same thing. I knew I would. I didn't know who they were going to be, what they were going to look like, but I knew I would meet them. I wasn't concerned. And lo and behold, on my first day at mile 0 at the terminus, I met the person I finished with. And
Just
that
how
was
provided.
it, just happened. And
Yeah.
every day I cannot believe the miracle of fate that happened.
Mm.
Because that my experience, like if you hadn't met Dan, would have just been
So different.
so different. It'd be a whole other world away of difference.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't like, of course I'd do it again, but like I'm so glad that version of the PCT I have forever. I'll always have it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's just about taking that step out, isn't it? It's just about
yeah,
overcoming that fear and that little bit of doubt.
yeah,
And like you said, starting local where the
yeah,
consequences are really low,
yeah. Low
make
risk.
lots of mistakes where there's very low consequences. You can go out
Exactly.
on a 5K walk,
Yeah,
and if something goes wrong, you can turn
yeah,
around back to your car and you'll be there in 10 minutes, kind of thing.
exactly.
And
And
you do that enough and you build up the distances and then you go multi-day
yeah,
and you just build this confidence that's so valuable outside.
yeah. I mean, like, I guess as well, like, just make sure, like, the trail's gonna be in reception, like, things like that, knowing that
Hmm.
help is only a text away, a phone call away, have your PLB, have your safety gear. Preparation is a lot of it, and then just starting,
Yeah.
because you're never gonna know until you start.
Yeah.
And again, like, for me, part of it was because I wanted to not feel lonely in a few scenarios where I had moved. I wanted to build friendships, and I wanted to also feel connected to myself a bit more as well. And I can't explain to you what hiking has done for me. And if I didn't have this, I don't know what I'd do. I'm
Me
so
too.
thankful for it, and like Yeah, like, thank
Yeah.
God.
I think it's so valuable to hear experiences like yours in a long form sort of conversation in a setting like this. Because it's very easy, like with anything on social media, to see people hiking these long trails and climbing these big mountains and doing it successfully without, or seemingly without any issue or challenge, and thinking, geez, that looks ridiculous. Like, I don't think I could ever do that. But you started doing day hikes near your house, and then you started with a 100-kilometer hike, and I was the same. We're out here hiking for 6 months on a trail across America, but my first hikes were just down the road from my
Yeah,
house, and they were a couple of kilometers, and then I tested gear and did all the things wrong on my first
yeah,
overnight hikes, and learned so many lessons, and eventually just slowly built that confidence, and started trying longer and harder things. And that's the reason that we're able to hike these long trails now. It didn't just sort of happen overnight.
exactly.
And
Yeah,
so just start that process, like just start the process,
yeah,
and just figure it out along the way.
yeah,
And one thing I used to always do when I first got into hiking is just to try and talk to people or consume content from people that were just more experienced with me as well. Like you
absolutely.
said, there's so much free information out there that can just fast track anything, any sort
Yeah.
of pursuit you want to do in life. But hiking is one of them, where you can sort of cheat code your way to getting started. But it really is just about starting. I
Yeah,
know you walked the Larapinta Trail this year, which I think is one of the top couple trails in Australia. It's just there's something magical and spiritual about that trail. I reckon it's just really incredible. And that was another solo hike as well, right?
it was, yeah.
How do you balance doing all of these adventures with your career, with relationships, with all the things you've got going on in your life? That's a question I get asked a lot. It's like, how do you afford to do this? I'm very blessed to hike for a living, and so for me, it's kind of like it's part of the job going out on trail, but that's not the case for everyone. How do you balance that in your life?
Yes, that's a really good question. So, I guess for me, and I'm quite lucky, I guess in a way, I'm in a position where I can kind of determine my hours to an extent. I kind of work in a casual position in a few of my clinics I work in private practice. And in a way, I can, again, I'm very privileged, but I can, I don't have no dependents besides my dog. But I can, if I want to take a bit of extra leave, it's kind of on me. So I'm a bit flexible, I would say, at this time in my life, but also simply because I'm just prioritizing different things right now. So
Yeah,
for me, I know because at this age in my life, I'm so privileged to have my health and and time and the want to do this. So I've actually decided very personally to not center my career as much as I probably did in my early 20s, when you're starting out and you're building a name for yourself and you really do have to work hard. But I guess what I'm doing now is I'm kind of calming that down and actually thinking, what do I actually want out of life right now? Is it just more time in clinic and more time where, and I love my job, I love seeing my patients, but at the same time, everyone's replaceable. But what isn't replaceable is the time that you have
yeah,
to see and do the things that you want to do. And so for me, I thought, like, I want to keep seeing more. I want to keep hiking. Like, this is what grounds me. It's like my walking meditation. That's the best
mm,
way I explain it. Because I have experienced career burnout in healthcare, which is a super common thing. I know this makes me a better practitioner, a better friend. It makes me feel good within myself. So in a way, it's actually kind of like necessary. It's
yeah,
like my forced annual leave, and so I hiked it in September, and I'd gone back to work in January of this year. So I had a fair while off of work last year after being on trail. Probably about 9 months I actually wasn't working, all up. So January I came back and, again, I wasn't prioritizing my career and making money, again, because I'm just in a situation I'm lucky not to have to worry about that, which I understand isn't everyone's, position. But I guess it's just about what you want to prioritize. So for me, my annual leave is hikes. So it's not lazing by the pool and having cocktails. It's hiking because
hmm,
they're long hikes. Like, I think the Larapinta I did in 10 to 11 days. So that was my annual leave, like a bit of my annual leave I'd saved up, and was it unpaid leave. So, but that was fine with me because that's what I want to do right now. So, I guess the best way you could think about it is, where do you want your time best spent that will give you more fulfillment? If it's making money, then I guess you'll have to do those shorter trips, maybe weekend trips or use long weekends. But for me, I guess I'm lucky that I can use some of my leave that I accumulate, and I use them for my hiking. Like when I had to go over for uni, I was like, what hike can I fit in? Like, what's
Yeah.
near my university where I can duck down and fit in? That's just what I wanted to prioritize. So I guess if you have a love of hiking, see what's close to you, what's also affordable. Like the hiking in Australia isn't expensive, like campsites are so fair, so fairly priced.
Especially compared to a hotel, which is the ultimate for some
100%.
people on a
Yeah,
holiday.
100%. So really the type of travel we do, whilst it's expensive, I won't pretend it's not. Like the PCT was definitely expensive. I would actually argue, I saw more, I did more than probably, what I would have spent if I was hiring a car and doing it.
Hmm.
So I got to do all these great
Absolutely.
things. So yeah, and I guess for me, it's just prioritizing that around work. So
Yeah.
um yeah, because right now, before I do settle down and have a family, I know that my time won't be as accessible. So I guess just kind of making work fit around me and what I want to do, and not being a slave to, I guess, like the 9 to 5 rat race, which, like you said, it's hard to escape sometimes.
Yeah, it certainly is. My mindset is you can work anytime.
Yeah,
You can
100.
work when you're 60. I mean, it depends on your job, but
Yeah,
you're not going to always be able to walk across the country or have these
100%.
opportunities to just sort of take a few more risks and chase fulfillment and growth and all of these things that you just can't get by sort of living a static life that is following this sort of cookie cutter sort of
Yeah,
path. And hiking's not for everyone, but everyone has their passions. And I uh I wish more people would just chase them and just kind
yeah,
of threw a bit of caution to the wind. Obviously, like you said, some people are in tougher situations. Both you and I are in a privileged situation where we can afford to do that a bit more, but just just send it while you're young. That's what I
yeah,
reckon. And
and
I
well,
will always encourage people to go hiking because I just think it's like kind of overpowered for like general well-being. It's so good for you. It is
yeah,
so good for you. Yeah.
I
How
think.
was the Larapinta Trail, by the way?
Oh my gosh. So it's so funny because after the PCT, I remember telling some friends and my family, I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna go over and I'm thinking of doing the Larapinta. I think I'm gonna do it." And I remember saying to myself, I should do this. And I think because even before the PCT, it was like a hike that had come up for me. And it was in a state, again, I'd never been before. I'd never been to the NT. And, I see these beautiful, amazing videos of, these water holes and the rocks. And I kind of thought, could it be as beautiful as the Sierra and the amazing national parks that the US have that I was just waltzing through for months last year? And I'll be honest, I had kind of low expectations going into it. And I also thought it's 230K, no worries, it'll be so fine. And so I went over. Again, gear was definitely dialed in after the PCT, which is great. And I actually did no food drops. So I decided to
Oh
myself,
wow,
I'm
big
doing no
carry.
food drops because A, it was expensive.
Mm.
And B, I was doing, I think I did uh, west to east. So I started off at the hostel so I could hike to the terminus. And then my mum was meeting me afterwards. So she was my drive out. So I thought, I'm not gonna do any food drops. I'm just gonna carry all my food, whatever. So I did. And can confirm the bag was heavy. There was a lot of 2-minute noodles. And
Typical hiker trash.
it's not great, but it's lightweight, it does the job. And I was just, yeah, magical and spiritual are really good words to use for the red center. I really had no expectations, and then I got there, and the rocks and just the color of the dirt, yeah, and it's just vast. It's just
Mm,
and then the McDonnell Ranges are just there, and it's so comforting because it's like you're walking with them.
mm,
I remember the first time and it's funny
yeah.
because I watched your videos as well before I went because 'cause I'm like, that's the research I do for my hikes. I'll just watch some videos. I'm a very visual learner,
Mhm.
and I that's kinda how I learn, and so I was like, "Okay, that's my prep." Like, that's my prep for
Yeah.
it. So I remember I was like, I got up onto one of, like, the ridges, and I was like, "I just get to walk along this now." And it was just the best. Like, I remember thinking my sleeping got better, I was going to bed with the sun, I was waking up with the sun. I would just stop when I wanted to, and it was hot. Like, I walked in SoCal, and you know what the heat waves were like
Yeah.
in the PCT. I remember I checked my phone one day on a 0, 47 degrees Celsius.
Wait, is
That's
this on
hot.
La Pinta or the
No, it's
PC
on the
ones?
PCT.
47?
Yeah,
Whoa,
we weren't
you
near it, we were in, like, Tehachapi or something.
I guess you were there about a month after me. That's
It and 'cause it
what?
was everything was on fire that year, it was so hot.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I remember thinking, because everyone said, "It's really hot out there. It's really, really hot." And because I was meant to go earlier when it was, like, normal season, right? Like winter, I was just coming into spring, and I thought, "I've hiked the PCT in May in SoCal. I'll be fine." And let me tell you, because my pack was so heavy, I did the high route, and I remember having to stop every 500 meters on, like,
Yeah.
the second day, just hugging this rock where there was any reprieve of shade, thinking, "This is pretty hot."
Yeah.
And
Brutal.
yeah, so I thought because the elevation wasn't that crazy, I thought, "This is gonna be such a walk in the park. It'll be a fun hike." And it was so fun, but it was a good challenge. Like,
Mm.
walking up, that riverbed, the gorges, where you're just rock hopping
Yeah.
on boulders the size of cars, and it's just you're like, "Where's the top?" Like,
Yeah.
it was so good, and again, I think it came at a time where I knew my PCT anniversary was coming up, and I thought to myself, I'm getting restless again. I need to to scratch this itch, so to speak. And so I did the Larapinta hoping it would, like, bring me that, like, ease that restlessness. And it did. Like, it was so beautiful. It was so magical and, like, a bit more exciting. It kind of like doing, like, the water crossing reminded me of the Sierra, like, fjording. And yeah, it was so fun. Again, I went over solo, and, my mum actually met me at the end, and she did Mount Sonder with me.
Oh,
Um,
amazing.
so that was a really special moment for me because I actually don't share hiking that much with anybody unless I'm on the trail with somebody. And, bless mum, 66, and she, flew into Alice, and she got the car, and she met me, and on no sleep, we woke up at 4, and we smashed it, and we had the best sunrise. And
Go, mom.
I know, go mum. And I just thought, like, how lucky. And we had our hot chocolate, and we signed the last logbook, and it was just so special. And yeah, for me, it was a really good reset coming into nearly 12 months after being off trail. It's definitely what I needed. So, and again, I miss it. I miss it already. I already miss it.
Yeah. Hiking, one of the biggest benefits for me is just like that mental reset.
Yeah,
I find it hard to spend a lot of time in the city and behind a laptop. Like when I'm in Perth, I'm in my office right now recording, and I spend a lot of time in here when I'm in Perth, and I just have to get out, at least once a week to go for a long hike or run or camp. It just there's no distractions. Like ideally, no reception. There's no there's no artificial lights. It's just like it just resets the brain, and I feel like a lot of people just don't ever get that. And
I know.
there's no wonder that there's a lot of mental health issues
Depression,
in
anxiety.
these generations.
Yeah,
Exactly,
yeah,
and I think that's one of the missing pieces. Is just time in nature.
yeah.
It's it's a physical reset as well. I mean, we're meant to be moving and walking and grounding and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's super cool to hear that you're prioritizing that still. Do you have any big plans for any big hikes in the near future? Is
Yeah.
the itch itching?
So when I said it at the beginning, I promised myself I'd give myself the PCT. I'm gonna go, I'll get it out of my system, and I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna settle down. Like that's what I told
Liar.
myself last year. And so now now things have changed a little bit. Like, I mean, I yeah, I think I've got one more big hike in me, to be honest. Yeah. So
Cool.
I've got some plans to go down to Tasmania actually. Much like yourself, we're heading off in mid-December. I'm actually going with two friends, which I'm actually really excited to do. I've never been to Tasmania, so I'm super excited. And we're going to do the South Coast track, which will be something more exciting. And then I'm still working out whether I do Kilimanjaro in January with actually my friend Arenvi, my
Wow.
trail wife. We're reuniting in Kenya in January, and we're
Wow.
going to see if we can fit in a little hike to Kilimanjaro. So we'll see if we can fit that in. And then a bigger goal for me, the Hexa trek has caught my eye. So
Really?
yeah. So we'll see.
2026.
Yeah, we'll see. So, and who knows? Maybe the Camino. Maybe we'll just have to tag it onto the end. So we'll see. So
Yeah, I mean the Camino can directly connect to the Hexatrack, so
yeah,
it just makes sense. You
just
may as
makes
well
sense.
walk across two countries in one walk.
Yeah, why not? Save the airfares.
Yeah, far out. You got some stuff in the works. That's super exciting.
Yeah,
Killy will be, yeah, that'll be your new highest altitude if you make the
that
summit.
will be. Yeah. So I think Keely. I had to Google. Was it 5? Is it
It's
6 or is it
5'9".
5'9"? Okay.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's the plan. So I'm gonna see. I've got a few dates I've got to work with because I can't take the piss too much with work. So I'm trying to utilize our close down period. That's another thing, use when your work is closed. So yes, I'm in the works of contacting a few people in Tanzania to see if I can make that work. So watch this space. So that'll be really exciting.
incredible,
Yeah,
incredible. Well, like you said, I'm off to Tasmania in 14 hours as we're recording this.
love that.
flying over. Tassie's just, it's the best hiking in Australia. I mean, the Larapinta's up there as well, but as far as like the amount of different trails you can do, it's
Yeah,
an incredible place. So
yeah,
that'll be a fun next trip. The South Coast Track is amazing.
yeah, yeah.
It's very underrated. It's a hard trail. There's like a bit of mud and a few big climbs, but it's so goddamn beautiful and so remote.
I'm
And
excited.
like you get like the plane ride either in or out from
Yeah,
Melaleuca, which is
yeah,
just
yeah.
like super unique. You
I
got your
know.
canoe crossings. It's just like
That's so cool. Like, choose your own adventure. I love it.
it's super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
thanks Britt for coming on. Really appreciate the chat. Where can people follow your adventures?
So feel free to jump on my Instagram. That's where I post stories and hopefully vlogging a bit more. So my
Cool.
Instagram is Brittany_Manny. And yeah, that's kind of where I'm posting my little adventures at the moment.
Exciting. I like the tease a bit more vlogging incoming. We'll see you
Yeah.
on the roof of Africa and the south coast of Tasmania and
Yeah.
probably all across France and Spain next year on the Hexa track.
Who knows? Like
Who
there's so much
knows?
to see.
There's so much to see. That's the problem is there's too much to see. I do this
Exactly.
full time and I can't even scratch the surface.
Yeah. It's a
It's
good
so
problem to
frustrating
have.
sometimes. It's a very good problem to have. Like I'll never not have an adventure to work towards. It's very cool.
Yeah.
But I'll leave your links in the description of the podcast below. So go say hi to Britt on socials. And yeah, thanks again for making the time today. Really appreciate it. It's good to catch up.
My pleasure. Happy hiking, everyone.
Happy hiking. If you guys enjoyed this episode of the Life Outside podcast, make sure to follow wherever you're listening and leave us a 5-star rating. It's much appreciated. We've actually been charting globally on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, which is crazy. So really appreciate all the love and support that you guys are enjoying the show. And I will see you next week. See ya.